What if I tell you that I worked on a research project where I got the chance to hike through some of the most beautiful mountains in the world and collect cannabis samples? Yes, that was literally one of my research projects that I did during my PhD. And for this research project, we had to walk, climb, hike, jump through different fields, and drive through some of the difficult terrains in the mountain areas in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand to collect over 700 to 800 cannabis samples, all from the wild, and then brought them back to the lab to study them for biodiversity related aspects. And that too legally for science. And today, I want to take you on that journey because it was nothing like I expected. And honestly, it changed the way I think about research, nature, plants, microbes, soil, everything that is there in the environment, in our ecosystem. Let me give you some more context of what this fieldwork was like because it was adventurous, wild, fun, challenging, difficult. You are up early morning, you are packing your sample bags, your field notebooks, you are hiking through trails, you are driving through different mountain roads that are not on Google Maps. Your legs will hurt, your buttocks will hurt, your lower back will hurt, and definitely your lungs will hurt because you are at an altitude where sometimes breathing becomes challenging. Every single plant that we collected had to be documented. GPS coordinates, date, location, physical description, and then we had to properly seal them to preserve the chemistry inside. And we had to repeat that over 700 to 800 times. There were moments when I was standing in a remote village in Himachal Pradesh, surrounded by wild cannabis taller than me. But here's a part that actually moved me. The local people, the farmers, the elders, people whose families have lived alongside this plant for generations. They knew things about this that no research paper had ever captured. Where it grew the best, how it changed with the seasons, what it was traditionally used for. That knowledge have been passed down for centuries and is worth more than you might think. And as a life scientist, walking in from outside, we have to approach that with humility. Okay, so what were we actually studying? Let me make this as simple as possible. Every plant is basically a tiny chemical factory. It takes simple building blocks and transforms them into complex compounds. Similarly, this cannabis plant makes cannabinoids like THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, and many more like this through step-by-step chemical process inside this plant. Think of it like a recipe. Certain enzymes in this plant are the chefs that run each step. The other thing was that if you really walk through different mountain areas in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, you will notice that after every 10 to 20 kilometers, the climatic conditions sort of changes slightly, whether it's the water, whether it's the type of trees that are growing, whether it's the type of soil. When these things are changing, it is also changing the type of microbes that are grown around the plant region. So before I move further, I want to add a little bit here. If you ever get a chance to go on a scientific expedition, make sure that you take it, whether it's in the ocean or whether it's in the mountain. Because once you do a scientific expedition, which is insanely wild, adventurous, but it comes with so much knowledge and experience because you interact with so many different kind of stakeholders, whether it's farmers or whether it's your colleagues or whether it's your scientific supervisor. Because everybody have a different input, everybody have a different lens to see the project, and you are discussing that and you're growing your own knowledge in that particular field. It is one of the most fantastic experience. I would say it was one of the most valuable experience of my PhD. One of the broader questions that we had was that we wanted to know that does these cannabis samples grown in different locations in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand have a common origin? And how different are they from each other? All right, so now with 700 to 800 samples from across a mountain range, you can actually start answering that. And why does this matter to you? Because cannabis plants have real medical potential. For example, CBD is already used in epilepsy treatment. Others are being studied for pain, inflammation, and anxiety. The more chemical diversity we find in wild plants, the more options scientists have. If you go deeper into the Ayurveda, there are so many different formulations of cannabis with other Ayurvedic herbs to treat a variety of disorders and chronic health problems. It just blows my mind away that this plant can solve so many health issues in human body. So, while Himalayan cannabis might hold compounds nobody has properly studied in modern science, but I believe that it is well documented in Ayurvedic text. So that's not a hype. I'm sure it is already published in Sanskrit language, Hindi language that we are yet to explore, because I had the chance to interact with one of the founders of cannabis companies called Kanarma in India. His name is Rohit Chauhan, and he gave fantastic input on these ideas. It's just unexplored and lost knowledge. And now, let me be honest about what this expedition did to me, not as a researcher, but as a person. When you are standing on a mountain, collecting a plant that has been there for centuries, that local communities have a deep relationship with, and you are going to take it back to a lab, decode its DNA, you feel the weight of that responsibility. All right, so for anyone who's watching this and who thinks science is just for people in white coats, in laboratory settings, in sterile rooms, well, this is the other side. Muddy boots, crazy rains in the Himalayas, sometimes wrong turns. And if this kind of content, real science, real places, real stories, is something you want more of, subscribe and hit the bell button, because I'm here every week. And honestly, if you have ever been curious about cannabis beyond headlines or about what fieldwork science actually looks like, drop your questions in the comment. I will definitely answer them. And if you are from Himachal or Uttarakhand, I just want to say those mountains and the people in them are extraordinary. Thank you for letting me and my friends and my colleagues from Canada, France, and India do this work there.